Okay, so now that we've reviewed what core beliefs are and explored what some of our own individual core beliefs are and worked to challenge them, we're going to look at some other ways that our mind plays a little bit of tricks on us when it comes to anxiety. So in CBT, there's an idea called cognitive distortions. Super fancy way of saying thinking errors. So thinking errors are something that we all have from time to time. They're not necessarily the lens that we see everything through, but we definitely have them creep in here and there, and they impact our thoughts. Cognitive distortions tend to be negative, unhelpful, and irrational thoughts. And as you remember, our thoughts impact our emotions and our behaviors. So we need to learn to think in a healthier way, a more productive, beneficial, and positive way. In order to do that, we need to figure out what are some of the cognitive distortions that we typically find ourselves thinking. So as we go through this list of cognitive distortions, some of these things will ring true to you. You'll notice that, you know what, I do sort of think that way sometimes. And there may be other ones that don't ring true for you, and that's okay. The purpose of this exercise here is to figure out what your personal cognitive distortions are, so that we can start challenging them. So the first cognitive distortion that we're going to look at is minimization and magnification. Two big words, right? What does this mean? So minimization is when we tend to minimize the importance of something. And magnification is when we tend to make it of greater importance than it really is. So an example of minimization would be that we think that other people's achievements are important, but we tend to minimize our own. So if someone gives you a compliment and you say, "Oh, it's nothing," right? We've probably all done that a time or two. You're minimizing the importance of that cool thing about yourself, that positive thing. And that doesn't do very well for helping us with anxiety or even self-esteem. On the other hand, there is magnification. So again, in anxiety, this is one that we see a lot. All right, let's think about that mistake that we made on our test. We play that over and over and over again in our head, and we think it's so important. In the grand scheme of things, it's not. We're exaggerating the importance of that small piece of our life. But it leads to anxiety. The next cognitive distortion is catastrophizing. That's a tongue twister. Say that 3 times fast. Catastrophizing. All right, so when we catastrophize, we are thinking about only the worst case scenario. The worst thing's gonna happen. So this happens a lot for people with anxiety. We worry about taking that risk because we think it's going to go poorly. When we catastrophize, we don't even stop to consider that things might go well. We only focus on that negative piece, the worst possible outcome. Another cognitive distortion is overgeneralization. So this is when we take a small piece of evidence and generalize it to different scenarios. So for instance, I felt really awkward today. I'm always so awkward. Well, that's not true. We're all awkward sometimes, but none of us are awkward all of the time. We're overgeneralizing. Another common cognitive distortion that we find in individuals who experience anxiety is emotional reasoning. So if I feel one way, therefore it must be that way. Again, thoughts, feelings are not facts. We're almost finished here. So should statements. Should statements are a cognitive distortion in which we insist that we should do something. So, for instance, I think there's probably a lot of people at the beginning of the new year that say, I should go to the gym. I should eat better. I should make this change in my life, right? Who says? Who says that? We're putting that on ourselves. Sometimes it's a good thing. We want to make positive changes. But when we say it in such a way that is so negative, if we say, I should do that. If I don't, then I'm blank. Bad, lazy, what have you. But if we were to switch that into something more positive, I would like to do some of these things, we probably wouldn't experience as much anxiety around that, or negative thoughts in general. I once took a training about some of these cognitive distortions, and I think the trainer said it best. He started with an example. We went around the room and everybody shared what they wanted to do for the new year. And every single person said, I should do this. I should do that. I should do the other thing. And the trainer finally said, you all need to stop shoulding on yourselves. It's not helpful. All right, so the last and really, really common cognitive distortion that probably most of you have already heard about is all or nothing thinking. Sometimes this is also called black and white thinking. So this means that we don't leave room for the gray area. We say it's all good or it's all bad. There's no in between. Well, the truth is, in life, there's a lot more gray area than there is black or white. Can you see how some of these things might impact our thoughts and feelings? All right, now that we know what some of the cognitive distortions are, and we've been able to identify those that really ring true for us, in the next section, we're going to look at how do we change these things. Now I know what some of my thinking errors are. What do I do with them?